I write this message as I lay dying. I was an inspector for repossessed homes 2 months ago. Now I'm an abomination. It started when I was inspecting a house in Boulder, Colorado. It was less than 10 blocks away from Main Street. The house was dilapidated and worn. It had been repossessed only 6 months before. I was alone. I inspected the upper floor of the 2-story house without harm, and the first floor as well. But I came across trouble at the basement. I approached the door leading to the cellar and heard a sloshing sound. I opened it slowly, and the rusted hinges creaked loudly. The door was warped from water damage. I stepped down a few steps and saw that the basement was flooded. Now usually I wouldn't go down into an abandoned basement alone, but I wanted to get this job done quickly because my daughter's birthday was later that afternoon. I stepped down and stood on the step right before the water, pointing my flashlight down and squinting my eyes, trying to see where the hole ended. That's when I saw it. Its eyes glowed like a cat's. It stood awkwardly on no less than 3 legs. Its face and chest were covered by a dirty cloth, smeared with blood and other matter I couldn't recognize. It had 3 hands, dangling from long extremities oddly shaped. It looked like a spider almost, its limp limbs hanging off its fat body, with fingers and toes and ears sewn into its abdomen and thighs. The water came roughly up to its first arm, which stuck out from near its hip. When I met its eyes, it made a screeching sound. Like the noise that scraping knives and forks on a ceramic plate makes, but it resonated throughout my entire body. I was frozen in fear then, until it moved. It bent downwards like a dog and used all of its 6 extremities to crawl. It went up the wall and on the ceiling, screeching and wailing like a banshee. I turned and began to run towards the front door. I saw the light spilling out of my exit and reached for the door frame to throw myself out when something pierced my leg. And then it had me. My leg was bleeding profusely as the thing grabbed me with his second arm, the one with an extra joint before its unusually long forearm. Its hand had 4 fingers and 2 thumbs. It had me by my neck and dragged me toward the basement door. I kicked and screamed as loud as one could with a vice around their neck. It walked slowly, using its third arm as a walking stick. Little did I know I would become very familiar with this third arm and its long, knife-like edge. It was a sharpened bone, looked like a spear sewn into the end of the forearm in place of its hand. The blood dripping from it indicated that's what it was that I had been stabbed with. It dragged me down the steps, my legs bumping each step. When my chest hit the water, I began hyperventilating. I looked at the murky water. It was brown and dirty, who knows what kind of disgusting things were in it. And then something surfaced. It was a big white lump. I kicked it with my foot and it rolled in the water, revealing that it was a head with the face cut off. I vomited into the water. The thing put me on a soggy table in the depths of this house's basement. It strapped me down with dirty leather bands and left me there for 2 days. I was so hungry. When it came back, it had another victim. It was a girl, probably about 19. She screamed for my help as the thing passed me, grasping her with its second arm and pulling her into another room on the other side of the hole. I will never forget the blood-curdling screams I heard that night. The thing came out of the room later, its apron, what I had dubbed its mask, soaked red. It was carrying a severed arm, a foot, what looked like a kneecap, and 2 ears. They were dripping with blood. It approached me. The sound it made when it walked towards me was horrifying, like someone typing on a computer. Skittering. The next 3 hours were the most painful of my entire life. The thing took its third arm and made cuts all over my body. When he was finished with the incisions, I no longer had palms. The skin on my left shoulder had been torn off, and the skin on my ribs on my right side was gone as well. I bled a lot. It then proceeded to sew using a bone needle. It sewed the arm into my shoulder. It made it so I couldn't use my left arm at all. The footy sewed onto my ribs. It nicked the bone a few times, piercing the nerve. Then it sewed the ears into my palms. When it was done, it looked over me. I saw pleasure in its eyes. Then it took a rock from under the water and hit me over the head. I don't know what time it was when I woke up. What happened next made me dub this creature the Butcher. I looked at my body to see what had happened and puked from what I saw. On my right hand, there was now another hand protruding from my thumb, except I could move the fingers. On my hip, there was a thigh, cut off at the knee. On my neck there were 6 fingers, sewn evenly in a circle around my throat. My left foot was now a right hand. I was in so much pain, I still am. I write this with my original right hand. My head feels fuzzy from the blood loss, and I think I hear the Butcher coming for me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe.